Okay, I'm surprised it took this long, but here we go. The owner, president, general manager, coach, and PR director of the Dallas Cowboys had to say something after his team got their face kicked in 42-10 by the San Francisco 49ers. He has who knows how many this week. It must be 10, 11, 12 different shows that he does. So he couldn't avoid it very long. He really couldn't. And you can grade him however you would like on his responses. Be kind if you can. I think he's kind of losing it, but grade him however you want. His responses, predictably, are rambling. At times, the owner, coach, general manager, PR director of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, at times he's optimistic, which he always does. You know, it's a kind of a lovable characteristic about Jerry Jones is that he is an optimist. And so at times when he started talking about his team getting their face kicked in, he was optimistic. He was, maybe more often than optimistic, delusional. Also, at times, he completely undercut his entire coaching staff. I don't think... Does he know what he's saying? I'll leave that up to you, because it is a real case study in the elderly and Jerry Jones. You can't dismiss that the guy's old, all right? So be kind when you're judging him and assessing him and how he's responded to his team getting kicked in. I will say more than once, there's really only one way to respond to getting drilled 42-10, and it's not even that close, and that is pretty much just shut up and get in your lane. We got our face kicked in tonight. We're better than that. Have a nice day, everyone. The more you talk, the worse it gets. That's just a simple rule in life. You know why it's good that people ramble aimlessly? People like Jerry Jones ramble aimlessly. It's good for my business. What's bad for my business is if you just shut up and get in your lane. But, Jerry, he's not going to do that. He can't do that. He's got too many shows. So Jerry is talking, and the one thing you can take away from this, I mean, it's at times it's awkward and uncomfortable, but I will say this is very clear. And he went out of his way to make it clear. And I don't know that I fault him for this. He's got Dak Prescott's back. Publicly, he's got Dak Prescott's back. I don't know privately. I have no idea. He traded for another quarterback, so I don't know how privately he has his back, but publicly, he did go out of his way to have his back. Now, he traded for another quarterback, but he still says Dak Prescott is the guy to take this team to the Super Bowl. He made it very clear. He went there. He doubled down on it, and I don't know that I fault him for that. I don't think it's going to work, but I know that I fault him for saying it. So here he goes on his weekly show with some dudes with hats and neck beards on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. First up, hang in there. He rambles aimlessly. Okay, it's, I don't know how long the show's supposed to be, but when Jerry's on, it takes 3 hours. He proceeds to, in addition to rambling aimlessly, listen carefully because he proceeds to throw his head coach under the bus.
When you face San Francisco next time, that maybe you would have liked to seen Sunday.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. You did at the last bring in San Francisco. We're not going to be playing San Francisco every Sunday, and they're a good team. But this one we're playing this weekend's a good team too. And so I think that we can do some things differently in how we attack them, our strategies. Some of the things that we tried to do out there Sunday night, on hindsight, we'd do it differently. And so I think that we, first of all, let's just take offensively. We could go to the interior more. with our physical, with our running game. We could go to on the same hand, we could do some things by stretching them out a little more. We could do some things in our route running that was differently than we did out there Sunday. All of those things are areas that we can get better in. Do we have the ability to do this? I think that's the question every fan you should be asking. Do we have the players? Do we have the healthy players that can get this done? Do we have the players that can do the protections and the blocks? The answer is we do. Do we have defense that's capable of taking those quick throws and those quick throws in the middle of the field? Do we have the ability to just something as mundane as having your players get their arms up more? When we got our arms up, we knocked a couple of them down. We've got the way to make those kinds of adjustments.
So, Jerry.
Okay. Oh. Well, listen, first of all, I don't know which one is it, Jer. We want to run inside. We want to spread them out. Wait, what? Okay, so, all right. That couldn't feel good if you're the head coach, but I guess you're probably used to it. Jeff, what was that about? I don't know. And neither do you, and I don't know, neither does he. We're going to go outside, inside, and do some stuff over here, block some passes, and yeah. Now, he's glossing over the fact that his team promptly threw a couple interceptions, and they were behind 14-0 before you could even blink, but whatever. All right, so then he goes into, this is, again, to slightly defend Jerry Jones, and I think this is why the man is remarkably successful. Successful meaning making a bunch of money and selling stuff. Here he does that always optimistic Jerry thing.
I'm not panicked, but the gap is, I don't want to, when something tells you what it is, don't try to dream that it's something else. Now, what I'm trying to say is we can do better than what we did out there Sunday night. That's a given. We can do better. We have the potential to do better. We have the preparation to do better. We didn't do it at all, to be tried about it Sunday night. But can we change? My life has always been working for myself. And consequently, when you work for yourself, you have to change what you're looking at in the mirror. That doesn't work anymore, or that's not working, and you have to go change it. In this particular case, we have to do some changes from within, and I'm talking technical things now. I'm not talking about the will and the attitude and the work ethic that's with this team. This team's got that, and we have players in place. Do we have it at quarterback? Let me be very affirmative. I completely believe that we have the quarterback that can take us where we want to go. Do we have the coaching staff on both sides of the ball? And I certainly do. Did Sunday reflect that? No. Is this the NFL where every team on any day has got a chance to beat the other team? Yes. It isn't a given that every time San Francisco will line up this year that they'll come out of there with a win. This thing's as even as any sport, as any league there is on the planet. And you can lose a game in the NFL against anybody you're lining up against.
Jerry, you mentioned...
Wait, what? I don't know that was so bad. I mean, I don't. I think those little Jerry anecdotes about my life and stuff, I think it works pretty well. I think look, the first part of that, I've got an answer for that. No, you're not. They're not that bad. Here's what you can't do, and I know fans don't like this. You can't just pivot. You can't reinvent yourself. You can't change that much. Everyone, including the old man, tries to make football far more complicated than it really is. It's not. And you can't just pivot and be something else 5, 6, 7 games into the NFL. Okay, so there's no magic thing. I'm not sure what he's implying here, but there's nothing magical that you can fix. You have to just line up and play the best you can as often as you can. And if it's good enough, it's good enough. I do think he was hinting at some of that. I'm not sure that was so bad. Then he triples down on his quarterback, who was absolutely outplayed, outclassed in every way by a seventh-round draft pick of a player who is coming off a severe injury in his second year, who is light years better than Jerry's quarterback.
That the quarterback is the guy.
No, the results are very obvious. We haven't won a Super Bowl. We've had good. Would you agree that we've had good games over the years?
Absolutely.
What?
Okay, and we've had some bad games. Do you know any team that hasn't had that happen to them?
Nope.
Now, consequently, I will say that we haven't gotten our big years when we should have. We've been real close a few times and haven't gotten our big years. That's not excuses. That's not anything. But if you think for 1 minute that there's any particular thing that I could put my finger on that basically says we need to do that differently, we need to do that differently, then it's combinations of things. Dak Prescott is a quarterback that can get us to the Super Bowl, and that's the way that's going to be. We have other quarterbacks on that roster, and players that certainly, if something should happen to Dak, but I want to be real clear, Dak's very capable of making this team be where we want it to go.
Jerry, do you think that the
Okay, no, he's not. That wasn't delivered well. It didn't come across well. That didn't play well. For the 500th time, the Dallas Cowboys are really lucky their quarterback is the ultimate corporate company man who shows up and says all the right things and never says what most of us would probably say, F you, old man. The dude, he has thick skin, man. The guy can take a lot, that Dak Prescott. No, he's not that good, Jerry. And I think at some level, even Jerry knows it and is eating Jerry alive. All right, so you judge all that however you want. You piece it together however you want. Feel sorry for him however you want. Make the jokes that he needs to go to Trembling Hills with Rudy Giuliani all you want. He needs a diaper all you want. You say whatever you want. It's out there. He's chumming the water. My reaction to a lot of this, here we go. What's he supposed to say? Now, for starters, I would say nothing would be a good start. That would be a nice change of pace. Just shut your old face. But he can't do that. So that's off the table. Not saying anything is not an option. Not saying much is not an option for him either. Dallas is... no teams can just pivot and change. You don't just reinvent these small rosters just because you got your nose bloodied. It's you don't. You build it a certain way, and you have to go with it for the duration. They're built a certain way. I don't think they're built as badly as most of you think. I don't think the butt kicking they took by San Francisco is a reflection of how bad Dallas is. I think it's a reflection of how good San Francisco is. I don't think people are. We're always caught up, and it's easy to say the quarterback's an idiot, it must be his fault. Is anybody going to take a step back and notice how good San Francisco is? I think you probably should. It's the best roster put together in the past 15 years. They're as close to looking just like they did when they were winning Super Bowls at any time in that franchise's history. They are right now what Dallas wants to be right now. They want to be a reflection of what they look like when they're winning a bunch, and San Francisco looks exactly like those teams that were winning championships. In fact, I'll take it a nerdy step further. They even have a fullback. It's the craziest thing. I can't believe more people don't notice. My gosh, that's retro football. They got a number 44 who plays fullback. Remember what the 49ers used to look like when they were winning championships? Remember what Dallas looked like when they were winning championships? They both had these signature fullbacks who could do a bunch of stuff. That's the 49ers of 2023. It's remarkable how much that team now looks like a team from the 90s. They're everything Dallas wants to be, and they're built just like they were decades ago. And it still works. Imagine that. When that dude can shove you down, it works. When that guy can outrun you, it works. When their fullback is leading someone up to block, imagine that stuff still works. That's what's most remarkable to me about San Francisco and Dallas is, one, how good San Francisco is. Two, how good they are, and they look just like they did in about 1994, including their quarterback. But he is right about this, and you saw it, Dallas loses to Arizona. San Francisco, it'll be the best thing that happens to them. They need to lose too, and they'll lose somewhere along the way. It's the business, and that game takes too much energy out of you. You can't stay at a high level every single week. You know, the question is how many times, how many Sundays or Thursdays can you get to a high level? And San Francisco, if they stay at a high level most of the time, they're going to win. They might win them all. But they're going to have a day when they're tired. It's going to happen. So he's right about that. He didn't say it very clearly, but he's right about that. Teams will have bad days, and teams will have injuries. I don't think Dallas is that far behind other NFL teams. I don't. I think when they're playing their best and they're healthy, San Francisco is that far superior to everyone else, including Dallas. Dallas was overwhelmed by the best roster in the NFL of easily the past 15 years. San Francisco is better than everyone else in the league when they bring their A game. They're better than everyone else in the league when they bring their B game. They're better than everyone else, period. Dallas can't panic. He's right in saying that. He should have done a better job of not acting like he's panicking, but that's impossible for him. He's right, though. Dallas can't panic, and they can't reinvent themselves. You got to get your head down. You got to get back in your lane, shut your face, and go play. That's all you can do. I don't think Dallas is done. I don't. Not at all. But they've got to find their way to bounce back because they play a pretty good team the next week. Now, the problem is they don't get themselves together pretty quickly. They'll be staring at a 5 or 6 seed after San Francisco, Philadelphia, Seattle, Detroit, maybe even Tampa. What Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons should have done post-game, neither of them did it. They should have taken a page from Dak Prescott and said, that's not the best of us. We can be better than that. We'll get better than that. Have a nice day. That's it. Stoic and quiet and move on. They didn't do that. Own that you got drilled and then just shut up. That's all you can do. Just say you're better than that, then stop talking. Now, let's get this out of the way. Jerry doubled down about his quarterback. All people ever want to talk about our quarterbacks, so I'm going to talk about the quarterbacks. I think he had to double down. He had to have his quarterbacks back because that's it, man. That's your guy. And he's not bad. He's not bad. He's not the dumpster fire that people make him out to be. Then again, he's not nearly as good as Jerry makes him out to be, and that's a problem. The 49ers quarterback is better than the Dallas quarterback by far. That is a proven fact. I think now more people realize it than before. Brock Purdy has a better arm. He's far more accurate. He makes better decisions. He's more mobile. He's got an excellent coach, and he's much, much, much cheaper. Those are all good things. That's just a fact. Now, I would say this even further. He's got a better arm. He's more accurate. He makes better decisions. He's more mobile, and he's got an excellent coach and much, much, much cheaper than most of the quarterbacks playing in the league now. It's not just an indictment of Dak Prescott. The 49ers quarterback, oh gosh, looks a lot like the guy that used to play for the 49ers in distributing the ball. They look just like they used to look. It's amazing. Stop for a second and think about the time growing up when the 49ers were winning championships. My gosh, this team looks just like that. Built exactly the same way with a quarterback that, I could say all those things except he wasn't cheap. So the thing about Brock Purdy is he's all of those things. He's the real thing. He's that good. He's not going to be cheap much longer, but that's the way it works. He's also surrounded by the most talent the 49ers have had since they were winning Super Bowls. He's better than all but 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the NFL today, and that includes Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's probably not in the top 10. That's just a fact. Brock Purdy's in the top 6. That's a fact. But he's playing with a ridiculously good roster. How good they are is crazy right now. So Dak Prescott is good. He's expensive and he's good. He's a really solid guy. He's the first guy at the office. He's the guy with the name tag. He's the guy that might bring bagels to your next meeting. I don't know. He's that guy. He's expensive and he's good. He's also surrounded by something far less than the talent that Brock Purdy has. He can't move like he used to. He's good and very expensive. He can't throw like he did at one time, and he's good and very expensive. Brock Purdy is excellent and cheap. That's like the best combination you can have in pro football these days. That doesn't even exist. Everyone who's excellent is expensive. Their guy's excellent and cheap. And that means he can be surrounded by excellent and not cheap. They're built perfectly. Dallas is not. Neither is any other team in the NFL. So Jerry's rambling. Jerry's not that far off. Jerry's just being Jerry. He's doubling down on Dak Prescott. That's fine. He is what he is. But I think this whole time is going to be focused on looking for all the flaws in Dallas when you probably ought to just step back and say, yeah, sometimes, you're watching one of the best teams in decades. If they can stay healthy, they run the table.